So welcome everyone. I'm Hannah from the Bangor Public Library, and we're happy to be starting up again here in the fall with our partnership with SCORE on these series of programs. We do these about once a month on different topics. I want to thank you all for coming. We're excited to chat with Lisa today. If folks have questions along the way, you're welcome to put them in the chat on the call, and I will monitor those as we go. And then when we get to the end, we might be able to unmute and have some discussion as well. But for now, I will hand it over to Donna from SCORE to share a little bit more.
Thank you, Hannah. For those of you who don't know about SCORE, we're a complete volunteer organization. There's 120 mentors in the state of Maine, all the way from Aroostook County down to Kennebunk. And we're available to give people free advice on starting a business, on growing a business, or even exiting a business. And if you're interested at all in having a SCORE mentor, and it can be anything from marketing to, I don't know whether to become an LLC or, any of those kinds of questions. All you have to do is go to score.org, and there's a place on score.org that says I need a mentor, and then we will match you up with someone who can help. The thing I think I like best about SCORE, frankly, is that you might get assigned one person as your SCORE mentor. You might get assigned me, but then all of a sudden you pivot from starting a business to like, how do I market? I'm out of my league there. And so then we find somebody of the 120 people who really understands marketing a whole lot better than I do. So with that, I'm going to introduce Lisa. Lisa has worn a lot of hats. She's a serial entrepreneur, she says. And so that means that all of you, she understands because Lisa has been in the same position as well, which I think is great. She's an author. She's a startup mentor. And we really kind of aim this whole workshop around people tell me that as an entrepreneur, you can be lonely. And how do you network? And how do you network and find resources? How do you connect to customers? How do you just maybe talk to each other to get some ideas? And so Lisa is going to give us some of her experience in that area and really looking forward to hearing about it. So Lisa, it's yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Liberatore, the program manager for UpStart Maine. I'm going to share my screen with you all, and we'll see. Can everyone see that okay?
Yep.
Good. Do I need to move this toolbar? There we go. Okay. So now I literally can't see anyone, which is like talk about being an entrepreneur and being lonely. I'm just staring at my PowerPoint, but I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about UpStart Maine. We are the Bangor Region's Innovation Hub. So our goal is to connect entrepreneurs to resources statewide. And so some of those resources include SCORE, down to physical spaces like the UpStart Center or, Rise Co-working. So there's lots of incredible support for the entrepreneurial community. And so sometimes you don't know where to go. So, come say hi to me and I can help guide you. So today we're going to be talking about the life cycle of entrepreneurship. And so, with that comes, how do you network? How do you think about it? Because again, a lot of opportunities are built on relationships and built on trust. And so, really excited to be able to kind of dive into have that conversation. I am very passionate, as Donna said, I am a serial entrepreneur. I've built and sold several companies. So I really understand all the pain points. I've been there, I've done that. I've also helped scalable companies go out and raise millions of dollars and really grow, from an idea to, hundreds of employees. So I'm very grateful for all of the opportunities and to be able to be in a position to kind of give back and to share. So that's kind of the conversation that we're going to have today. I can't see you, but if you have a comment or a question, just come off mute, or feel free to put it in the chat. Happy to be interrupted, or we can save it all for the end, whatever you'd like. But If something's not making sense and I'm making assumptions on your knowledge base, like please let me know so that I can address those gaps. Um, so as I said, I love being an entrepreneur. I have a master's in college administration, but found out very quickly that although I love the work that I didn't love being confined to certain hours. And so have had the opportunity to build and sell. Um, a coffee and tea company. I've built and sold restaurants, co-working space, the first one in Bangor, as well as real estate. I'm an investor and an agent. So a lot of different businesses that really aren't connected at all, except for that core passion and the ability to go out and find a problem and validate that it is a problem and that I have a solution, and then go about executing it. So I am very much, if you can't tell, like the creative, and so love building from nothing. But I also get bored. So once I've kind of built the systems and I'm proud of myself and it's succeeded, that's when I sell and I move on to the next thing. So um, a lot of my success too has been around building community, and building networks to be able to move very quickly, right? So if you're trying to start or even sell a business, being able to access SCORE mentors and other people to answer questions, to get more information to kind of keep building your plan. Is great. And so there is my son, Dorian. He goes by DMAX. He is a philanthropist and an entrepreneur. We recently went to the Little League World Series where he was honored as one of five in the country and the first child ever, first Little League ever to get that recognition for his community work. And so we wrote a book about it called D-Max's Birthday Wish. And his wish is that no child goes without a birthday cake on their birthday. So the whole month of September, he's done it for 2 years now. He collects birthday cake supplies and gives them to local food pantries because those are items that are often requested but are not purchased out of the very small budgets that food pantries have. So he is solving a really important gap in our community. And so again, we use the same framework that we use for starting any business, right? It's building a plan, finding some partners, having a consistent message, and really just reaching out and asking for help. And this year he collected over 2,400 items. Thanks to a partnership with Maine Savings, he had boxes and marketing from Portland all the way down south. So again, entrepreneurship and the ability to solve community problems or to raise capital. I've done it all, and I'm really excited to be able to kind of continue to help people along the way through this role at UpStart. So there's no one way to be an entrepreneur. Like I said, I love starting from zero. But I also love people that want to buy what I've built and that they can take it and they can maintain it. And I've been very fortunate to be able to exit out of three of my companies and to be able to see that they have continued on, and that the new owners put on their own twist to it. So, recognizing that it's okay if you aren't a person that wants to start a business, that you can go out and purchase a business. And if you have a business and it's not filling your cup anymore, it doesn't work with where you are in life, please don't shut it down. Please, go to SCORE, come talk to me. Like, let's see if we can sell your business, right? It makes me so sad, especially, Main Street businesses when they close their doors and it's like, and that's somebody else's dream. That was their dream and that could be yours. And so again, just how do we put those pieces of the puzzle together? We don't need all the answers. We just need to be able to kind of reach out and ask for help. And with that, we have our own incredible network as well, or I've built my own network of really amazing people, Donna included, that have an incredible legacy and have so much knowledge, and they are so willing to share it. And so hopefully, again, if you take something out of this, it's don't be afraid to ask the question. We all start somewhere. Again, I ended up building and selling multiple businesses. I'd never worked in a restaurant before I decided to want to open one. Is that a great idea? I don't know, but it worked for me. And so, I had the opportunity to do lots of things, but I never took a business class in college. So there's a lot of different ways to become an entrepreneur. And, and you see it in a lot of different businesses. Like when I work with entrepreneurs, nobody goes to school usually for, entrepreneurship. They're doing something and they've stumbled their way. And again, that curiosity, that willing to ask the questions to say, I don't understand this, or how do I make this come true? That's where the magic really happens. So there is no right way, and we're really excited that you're here today to kind of learn about that. And we'll kind of see where the opportunities lie for you. I can't wait to hear how some of you are, thinking about entrepreneurship. But I can't help but also point out a really important kind of fact that is the transition of wealth is coming to very strongly into female hands for the first time ever. So by 2030, women will control as much of 30 trillion in assets passed on by boomers. So again, there's a real opportunity for females to be able to, jump into entrepreneurship, to potentially have access to capital that is handed down to them. And how do we think about and deploy that in an intentional way to make it grow and multiply? So, as I mentioned, there's different paths to ownership. You can start from scratch, and that is a wonderful way. I love it. If you are going to start from scratch, definitely do a lot of customer discovery, spend a lot of time building out your ideal customer. Who is the person that is like your dream customer, and then go out and try to find those people and ask the question and make sure that the pain point that you believe they have is an actual pain point and something that they'll pay for, and that there's enough people to make it profitable. So that one is, requires more um, risk, because you don't have a proven method, but you get to create your own culture. So I am very big into community, as I've mentioned. So when I opened my restaurants, I was also part of the city council. I was on the Main Street board. I got to serve in lots of different capacities. So I was able to build an inclusive culture from the beginning, where my staff knew that we were going to give back and that we were really going to be leaders in our community, and that was a really important pillar for, working, within my business. And so then there's another path, which is buying a business, right? And that's really wonderful if you are again, looking to take something over and to be able to optimize it. So a lot of ownership, that can change for a variety of reasons. But being able to have systems that are already in place, have revenue in place, can reduce some of the risk. And for you to be able to see potentially you have a new idea for kind of a new revenue stream, being able to kind of bolt that on, but knowing that you have a base business that you are going to be able to kind of step into and keep moving forward. So UpStart is here to help you along the way, however we can support you and connect you to the different resources. That's what we would love to be able to do. So some of the programs that UpStart has is Scratchpad Accelerator, which is on the right-hand side. That's one of our cohorts that we worked with. Scratchpad was Maine's first seed accelerator north of Boston. We work with companies with $100 million markets or more, getting them ready to go out and scale. So it is very intensive work that is done, and to make sure that, again, all of their systems and their advisory board and everything is really in place to be able to go and to be successful. Startups are extremely risky with a high rate of failure, and so we do everything we can to ask the questions and provide the feedback to decrease their odds of that. So. And on the left-hand side is Top Gun. So Top Gun is a program of the Maine Center for Entrepreneurship that UpStart has hosted. And I had the opportunity to not only go through the program when I have my restaurants, but also to be able to run it twice now. And so that is an accelerator program that works with companies that are getting ready to, that are also growing and scaling. And that has more of a curriculum-based approach where we go through a variety of topics in an intentional way. It is a statewide program. And so we meet in Augusta, I think once a month is the way the format was going, and have wonderful speakers. And then there is a showcase with a prize at the end. So again, UpStart is really committed to being able to meet entrepreneurs where they are and connect them to the programs and resources that are available statewide. And we are so excited to be able to have these programs under an umbrella. We also have some other ones, which I will talk about in a couple of minutes. But so then I wanted to talk about, selling a business because again, that's another important piece of the puzzle. And it's if you're tired and you feel like you want to sell, please don't let your numbers slip. That is the hardest thing to kind of come back from is having declining sales and trying to convince somebody that you're worth top dollar and that truly you're just disconnected. So, if you're thinking about selling, the sooner you kind of know that that's an option, getting in touch with a mentor to help you make sure that you've got everything in place from the standard operating agreements to kind of how do you think about pricing and valuation is really important. And again, there's a lot of off-market deals. So being able to know who you want to talk to, what are you looking for, and people are able to kind of keep their eye out for people that are buying and people that are selling, right? It requires a level of patience and again, a level of intentionality. And there's just a lot of different sales structures. So you can do employee ownership for bigger companies and just being creative, is the seller willing to hold some of the notes so that you can get the rest financed? So just helping, again, we have opportunities to be able to explore what does that look like. I also have a role at the Maine Business School, and we are getting ready to be launching a asynchronous 2-hour learning opportunity called Buying a Business. And that is an opportunity for those that are interested to take a learning experience that takes roughly 2 hours that gives you the language that you need. What does letter of intent mean? Due diligence, like what does this process look like? How should you be thinking about it? What are the red flags that you should be aware of? So again, there's a lot of amazing resources that are out there. So if that is something that you're interested in, I'm always happy to help. Um, so, as I mentioned, UpStart has a lot of great things. Last night, we actually hosted Key for Women. So, we're always looking for opportunities to connect with more entrepreneurs. Through that, we've got Blitz, which is coming up, and I can share more about that in a minute, as well as Innovation Nights, what's happening in the spring. And so, we're always looking for entrepreneurs to present at Innovation Night. So, please feel free to reach out to me. And then again, we've got some lunch and learns coming up in November and December that are around. So you've outgrown free and now you have to hire, whether that's like a bookkeeper or a fractional CFO or COO. How do you think about hiring that out? Again, what are the expectations? What does that contracting look like? And so really giving a very high level of what it is to pay someone, because when you've been doing it all yourself, it's really exciting. But then the thought of, hiring someone is pretty scary. Having done it, geez, you've worked so hard. And so how do you make sure you've got the right person and what questions do you ask? And so we're going to kind of go through all of that. Heather Lux, who is a board member of UpStart, as well as an entrepreneur, is going to be leading that session. So I will put that information. I'll send that to Dawn and hope we can get that out to everyone as well. So, as I mentioned, Blitz is an annual conference that happens in Bangor. This year, it's happening on Tuesday, October 28th at the Hilton Garden Inn. And we have speakers from Presque Isle all the way down to Portland and everywhere in between. And this is a really incredible opportunity to be able to be in the room with people that are making changes at the state level, that understand the pain points of being an entrepreneur and that are willing to help and guide you. So we have panels on navigating the pricing volatility that we're all experiencing, as well as finding innovation during disruption. So, AI has done an incredible job of making a lot of people kind of wonder, well, where is my job going? And so we are going to have opportunities to be able to explore that and to be around tables with workshops for you to be able to really dig in and ask those questions. And then we have a panel on communicating your worth. So how do you communicate? We have lots of incredible speakers, Nancy Marshall from Marshall PR, as well as Jolene Gervais, who is from Greenlight, Maine, will be there along with so many other incredible people. And then following that, we have the big gig, which is our local pitch competition. And we actually are accepting applications until the 19th. So if you have a business idea and you're looking to pitch it, this would be your opportunity. You could win $500 and then a chance to be in the grand finale, which is $5,000. So we hope that you feel like you can reach out to UpStart. It is a community sport. You cannot do it alone. There's so much incredible knowledge and expertise, and you're just one conversation away from you realizing your dream. And it takes a long time, takes a lot of conversations, but we are so excited to be part of your journey and to help you however we can. I don't know all the answers, but I know a lot of people that know a lot of things, and I'm happy to open up my network to help you be more successful. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering any questions.
Lisa, thank you. That's a lot of support, and I don't think people really realize how much opportunity there is to plug into some of these programs in Maine. And Maine is really being recognized right now for a great state for people to get help and to start businesses. And the other thing I always like to say is there's a lot of doors of where you can go, whether it's UpStart Maine or whether it's SCORE or many of the other organizations, New Ventures Maine, SBDC. We always say that there is no closed door. And so, for example, if I feel like one of my clients would be better served by UpStart, I'm more than happy to share names with Lisa, and that goes back and forth as well. So we don't guard our clients. We share them when we think that there's a better source of inspiration for them or advice. So with that, I'll turn it over to the group for questions. So I hope you've got some good questions for us.
Well, and I'll just say thank you to SCORE. They are one of the facilitators at the Blitz Conference, as well as Mainstream Finance, SBDC, Maine Technology Institute. We have, again, a lot of the entrepreneurial leaders in the community are going to be in a room. So if you have an idea and you're looking to have a random collision, there will be a lot of that. And I do want to let you know that we do have scholarships available. So it is really important to me that entrepreneurs have access to this conference. And so if finances are a barrier, it's a $40 fee, or 2 for 1, so $20 a ticket. So you can split it with a friend. But if that is a barrier, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, happy to provide scholarships as necessary, because it's going to be a wonderful day and you will leave feeling more inspired and connected. I can promise you that.
Great. What questions do we have?
Feel free to unmute yourselves and speak up, or you can type them into the chat and I can read them out if you prefer.
Maybe just to go ahead.
I'm Lynn. I'm actually in Massachusetts. I'm not in Maine, but I feel like my question should probably be at the end rather than the beginning of the talking session. Because I actually inherited a business that my husband started 30-something years ago. And so I've been running it for the last 3.5 years. During that course of time, we've made it actually much more successful. But one of the veins of being successful in that regard is the need to make decisions in regards to where the location. We currently own the building that we manufacture from, but we lease the building that we distribute from. And we're in the Boston area, and we would like to, one of the things if we stayed in business would be that we would like to have both the production and the distribution under one roof, which would entail an awful lot of planning in regards to finding a place to do that, and then the building of it, or repurposing a building that we should happen to be so lucky to find that would be suitable. As I'm in my 70s now, and it would be a 5 to 10 year process. I'm starting to think that perhaps it might be best to just sell the business. Currently, I have 3 of our 5 children involved in the business. And I think depending on who buys it, they, along with our almost 80 employees, would still have a job, I would hope. That would be one of the downsides I wouldn't like to happen if people lost their jobs. And I'm not saying my children, but long-term employees. So that's one of the things. But the other thing is, like, in regards to leasing distribution building, it's like, is it better to be on the lease at the beginning as we try to sell it, or near the end? Because if they took over the business, they want, it's more like questions for what would the buyer want? They want to just take over whatever we have, including a lease, or would they want to take the distribution someplace else and then would be stuck with the big lease? So those are some thoughts that go through my mind.
Yeah, Lisa, before you give some very much more advice than I haven't sold a business, but one of the things that I would suggest is that Massachusetts has a SCORE program as well. And so you can ask SCORE, just again, go to score.org, Massachusetts, and because you have a lot of detailed questions, which are exactly the right ones to have when you're making this decision. I would really highly recommend that you go on score.org and ask for a SCORE mentor to kind of help you with like the roll up your sleeves and really think about these. So that's more specific, but Lisa, I'll turn it over to you now.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there without a lot of information and, hijacking the meeting. But if you haven't thought about kind of an employee ownership, that might be something to consider, that there are structures available for employees to be able to purchase, businesses. So again, I don't know your volume and all of the different things, but it sounds like you've got the right thought process, especially if your horizon is several years out. Because it does sound like a bigger, more complex business. So I think, definitely getting a mentor, but also, starting to take the temperature of your employees and how they're, again, you're not doing anything tomorrow. We're just trying to establish, and your children, are they interested in staying in the business? Are they, again, you have the opportunity to create a package that you want to have for sale. And so if you believe that if this is what it is, then that is what it is, and you will find a buyer that fits that. So I appreciate that you are, thinking about this potential buyer and what they may or may not want. But remember that you're in control and that you can set some firm boundaries that, like, if I don't know if I personally, if I were thinking about exiting relatively soon, would want to go down the road of trying to purchase and putting everything under one uh, roof. But maybe if something fell into my lap, then maybe. But I think that there's a lot more work to get the back side ready for sale. That will take a lot of time and a lot of conversations, and maybe focus on that. And again, there is a potential upside for the new buyer, and the new buyer might have a building already there, and they're just looking to fill that space or something, right? You just never know. But being creative and being open to kind of a bunch of different ways to kind of get to sold is really going to be the key for you. And again, I think if you have that many employees and very long-term dedicated ones, exploring an employee ownership option might be worth a conversation.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Looks like Stacy in the chat also has a question about selling a business. Stacy, do you want to unmute and tell us more?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I own a few businesses, but I own a cooking school for children, and it's a mobile cooking school. I've had it for probably 23 years. It started in Connecticut, moved to Florida, then we moved to Maine. And is it a real cut and dry of how you sell a business? Because what I would like to do is actually be able to sell like the concept and sell like almost like a membership, not a membership, but you know, I would mentor the person who would like to buy the business, show them how to do all the legal stuff, how to deal with, because we do a lot of stuff with schools and how to be vetted. And I have a whole recipe database. I'm a trained chef. I've been teaching forever. I don't want to sell like the business to one person. I'd like to, and I know like franchise fees are so expensive. And what I want to do is make this more affordable to someone who wants to start their own business. So
Yeah.
does that even
Yep.
like
I've
exist?
done that.
Okay. All right.
I've done that. I created a licensing agreement for my restaurant. So a licensing agreement is you said it exactly. It's not nearly as expensive or restrictive as the franchising process, and it gives the opportunity. So again, making sure that you have your standard operating procedures, everything's very well documented. You've got your brand standards really in place. And you do need to work with a lawyer if you haven't, trademarked it already, making sure that you kind of have some of these legal protections so that you have something that you're actually selling, that's protected. And then, yes, it is much simpler to do a licensing agreement. And that's another opportunity where you get to be in the driver's seat. You get to say, okay, what is it that I really want to control? These are the recipes that, that we have to use, and that I want to make sure that we're using, these distributors, or, it really depends on like, what is it that you're like the holy grail of the
Right.
essence of the business? And then where else can you be flexible?
But I wouldn't, what I want to take it like even, I want to kind of dumb it down even more by they wouldn't need to use the name of my business. It's almost selling the concept, like helping them decide what they, the name for their business, but selling the structure, I guess, or the framework.
I mean, yes, so you can do, I would talk to a lawyer, and again, can defer to Donna, but I think that there's power in the brand, and it
Okay.
makes the business much more, part of the reason that you're purchasing it is for that name recognition, that it has been in, uh, Florida, and that it has been in Connecticut, and it has been in Maine. So now, why am I buying it? Like because that name has a history of success. And so, I mean, you could be a consultant and, consult and help to design something that is basically your product. But, if your product has been very successful and you've been successful, I would, think about being proud of that, and having that kind of continue, and for you to be able to point and say, look, we've got several more of my business around. And again, people are free to operate, right? And they can make it their own, because it is a licensing, not a franchise. But I think again, that's a conversation to maybe have with a mentor and with a lawyer, just to see is coaching and consulting help you to achieve your vision, or does it make sense to maybe do the licensing because there is a longer term and you can get maybe a percentage of revenue moving forward, right? So I wasn't in my restaurant for years, but I still was receiving, income. And so a lot of it just has to do with what your goals and your outcomes are, and then you can kind of work backwards from there.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. Thank you so much.
I'll also add, Stacy, that SCORE has a mentor. His name is Brian Hanscom,
Mhm.
and he actually runs a business on how to of selling and buying businesses. So
I think I've met him because I also own another business and I'm working with a SCORE mentor. I own a dog ice cream company. And
okay,
I've been working with Janine Beekes, and she's been amazing. And it's just I have a lot of balls up in the air, and I've
right,
had this cooking school for a really long time, and I'd like to still keep the piece of it in Portland,
sure.
but sell like I guess it's selling my knowledge because I have so much knowledge about how to get it up and running within like 6 weeks.
I
You can
think
have
you've got a good concept. I think Lisa's advice around, talking to a lawyer and making sure things are, and Brian also does, there's a recorded workshop and it's called How to Buy or Sell and Sell a Business.
okay.
So that would be worth going on the SCORE website and just watching that, or you
Yep.
can be in a class with him live as well. He does them probably once every 2 months, but
Yep.
um, I think, Lisa's kind of given you some great advice because she's
Yes.
already done some of it. I think the important part is to, from a legal standpoint of really being sure, you have a nice tidy box of what you're selling and
Right,
go
right. I'm
from there.
married to a lawyer, so I'm like, but we're like I'm like the shoemaker's kid. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Hannah, what else do we have for questions?
Well, I'll just point out also for Stacy that if you check the chat again, Stacy, it looks like someone else on this call is interested in that idea. So
Look
maybe we can make that
at
connection. They
that.
put
We
their
actually
contact
maybe
information in there.
sold a business idea on our workshop. I love it.
Great, thank you.
So we have a couple questions from Melissa. If we are just starting a business and have no clients or revenue yet, when is it recommended to get insurance and become an LLC? And also, what is a great resource for marketing?
I'll just start out by saying that I think the sooner you're an LLC, the better. In my estimation, I usually give guidance to my clients is open up a separate checking account, get your insurance, do the LLC. We actually have a little checklist at SCORE for all the things that you should do, but sooner would be my advice rather than later. You don't need to have earned a penny to kind of get everything set up. So that would be my advice. I think you ought to do it soon. Lisa?
Yeah, I would agree. You haven't started anything yet, but the goal is that you will. And so you want to be set up properly from the beginning. And so again, it's really just about making sure that you build the right startup budget that do include these fees, because they are really important and it is harder. Again, I don't have any context on what the business is or anything like that, but the last thing you want to do is have your first client sue you. And the thing with an LLC is you do have protection from your personal assets, which is again a really important thing. And so the state of Maine LLC, it's a couple $100s, right? It's not a huge financial barrier, but it gives you a lot of peace of mind. I have a lot of a lot of LLCs. I feel better, with things in different pockets. And then insurance, for sure. Again, it is really smart just to set it up properly from the beginning, and to make sure that when you're doing your cash flow projections, because you don't have any clients or revenue, that you know when the break even is and that you understand that there's fixed costs in business. And so, and those are really important costs, right? And the filing fee, once you do the LLC, it goes down every year. Not down, but like it turns to a smaller amount every year. I can't remember, but it is a different number than when you initially do it, but that is important to keep in mind. And so you just want to make sure that your budget and your cash flow projections include some kind of fixed costs because No business does not have those. And you can work for free and that's fine, but you really should pay for, pay for these things, these protections. And then I'm not quite sure what you need for marketing. I love Canva. I think Canva is an amazing tool that can make some beautiful graphic design, graphically pleasing things. That there's a free version, and again, you can get a paid version. So, but I'm not quite sure what you mean by marketing. So if you want to clarify that, and then again, do the town, do the DBA, just get that going. You don't have to start it immediately. Make sure that you've got kind of you're just building your steps, but that you're getting everything kind of done before you launch is always a good idea. So if you'd like to help me get some more information on what you mean by marketing, I can give better advice.
Yeah, Melissa, feel free to either unmute yourself or you may be typing into the chat in this very moment. We'll see your message pop up in a sec. But yeah, thank you, Lisa. You also answered that last question about the DBA. While we are looking for more info on that, we have a question from Fred who asks if we have a limited marketing budget for a service-based business, what is the best bang for the buck? While we're on the marketing subject.
Donna, do you have opinions on that? Though I heard you weren't really.
I'm not a good marketing person, so yeah, I will absolutely defer to you. The only thing I will say is that we have, particularly in the Portland area, we have 4 or 5 people who are mentoring marketing gurus. They are just amazing, and I have brought them in for work with my clients, and they also are available to help give advice. But I haven't personally worked with any local marketing firms. So Lisa, any advice on that would be really helpful.
Yeah, so I mean, I can happy to share some names. But again, if you have a very limited budget, finding out again who is your ideal customer, so your service base, so and where are they? Are they on TikTok? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they in Facebook? And then spending your time marketing on the right platform. That's one of the biggest things is that if you're going to spend money boosting posts or do anything like that, that you actually really know that your customer is there and going to interact and that you're going to get that traction. So for example, for UpStart, for example, LinkedIn is a fantastic platform for us, right? That's where we can meet with entrepreneurs, we can meet with mentors. That is where our ideal people lie, our sphere. Facebook, not so much. And so, we post on Facebook, but to have some visibility. But if we're really trying to drive marketing, we're going to do it on the platform, which is LinkedIn for us, because that we really are seeing the traction and the return on investment there. So that's what again, AI is incredible for helping you kind of write content, polish content. You've got Canva that can help on the graphic side. And then really just doing a lot of A/B testing, right? So being able to kind of put 2 different messages up and see how they respond, who's interacting, what does that look like, and then adjusting from there. So it's an iterative process. It's really a fun one where you just have to kind of stay curious and know that sometimes the algorithms are going to be against you. It's so frustrating when especially like in Facebook land, you're just like, why is nobody seeing it? But that's how technology is working these days. So just kind of keeping that in mind.
Yeah, and Fred added a little clarification. It's a local-based service, arborist work. I know who they would be, just not sure if, say, postcards or social media, truck signs, etc., shirts, hats, newspapers. Homeowner, we do tree care, gardening, etc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had good luck with, it sounds silly, but like the truck signs, those magnetic signs are fairly cheap. And so you're working at someone's house, someone likes the look of your work. So if from my perspective, we've had a lot of good success with people who don't have a lot of money, put the magnetic signs on, and it's given them good referrals, so to speak, as they're working. So that might be something cheap you can start with.
Yeah, I think whenever you can brand yourself and that everyone starts to see. So I was just at hockey practice with my son and I saw this guy wearing this new sweatshirt and I was like, oh, I've seen that truck in the neighborhood. It's like, yeah, I just started this division of my company. But so again, like I saw the truck, he was wearing the sweatshirt and I was like, hey, how do these two connect? It's like, oh, you just started a new division. Okay. So those are very low cost things where you just turn into a walking billboard and that's not a bad thing at all. And so, but I do want to make sure that all homeowners, like that is a very broad statement. There's different types of homeowners, there's different income levels, there's different number of trees and complexity of trees. Are they like densely populated? And so, if you haven't done it, like really fleshing out that avatar because. If your target is, people that have lived in their homes a really long time, that are retired, that have disposable income, those people might be more apt to read the flyer that comes in the mail, and they're not on social media. So again, dialing in who your ideal customer is. If you're looking for someone more like me, that has a family and is really busy and again has some money to be able to do the things, reaching me on social media and having those visual things is going to be the way to kind of connect with me. So, and then some of it is your personality too. What do you feel comfortable with? Do you want to have your face all over social media, or do you really just want to have your logo and your brand? So that kind of just comes back to that marketing piece. And so, again, if you were to do postcards, that's a great opportunity to work with a local print shop. So I know, again, I am in real estate. So, if you want to do marketing, you can go purchase different lists and then you can work with a print shop and they can get that list, they can design it and they can send it all out to you. And all you're doing is writing a check. So, there are opportunities to kind of have that more full service, if that is the route that you want to go. But again, just, and you can pick a neighborhood. Like the best part about targeting marketing these days is you can say I want to be in these like miles of, radius or neighborhood or whatever it is you want to do, and kind of, try testing it, but recognize that, there's no surefire way. And so just again, paying attention to how much money you put in and what do you need to be able to break even slash really hopefully make a profit, right? So if you're putting that kind of time and money in, you want to make sure. It's one thing to spend $20 and boost an ad on Facebook. It's another to spend, 2,000 and do postcards, because now what does that look like? But again, it's really just driving awareness. And how committed and what do you feel comfortable? Like, do you want to be the person posting on social media all the time? Or are you, again, more kind of traditional with the print media and that sort of thing. So
The other thing this reminds me of, Lisa, is I want to put in a plug for the Bangor Public Library. They have got tremendous resources on that can help you with targeted marketing. And so, for an example, they have a database that's free that you can plug in and say, how many dog owners are there within 20 miles of Bangor? And how many of them earn 100,000 or more, or how many of them. So, Hannah, could you just give us a quick overview of that database?
Yeah, I think that what you're thinking of is the Data Axle
Yep.
Reference Solutions database, right? Yeah. So that's a database that anyone with a Bangor Public Library card can access from anywhere. You just need your library card number, and anybody in the state of Maine can get a free library card at the Bangor Public Library. And I don't know if it works exactly that granularly, Donna, but it does give you good opportunities for market research, checking out other businesses that are like in a particular geographic area and within a particular industry. And there's a white pages database, so you can, pull in public information about people's addresses, within a given area. And it does go into some of those different like features related to those people. I don't know if dog owner is one of them, but yeah, so you can access that with your library card and you can ask for assistance at the reference desk if you want to learn a little bit more about how to use it. I know Fred has a couple other questions in the chat, but I do want to circle back to Melissa, who had added some information to her earlier question and said, I am working on starting a bookkeeping business and I'm not sure where to start on marketing.
Let anybody know you're doing it and you'll be full. So there is a massive need for bookkeepers. So I don't know where you're located in the state, Melissa, but I can tell you in the Bangor area, we have Tuesday Forum, which is a women's networking group that meets weekly. And so there's also BNI, which is another opportunity that you could go and be a guest at. So there's a million ways, join a chamber, there's a lot of opportunities. I think that, and definitely, definitely be an LLC and get your insurance because you're going to be busy quick, and you're dealing with numbers. So 100% do not cheap out on those things. And it's really just letting people know. Start with your personal network. It's incredible, like how many people, if you don't have a LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect me, any of you. I'm happy to connect. And, but really, it's just letting people know what your service is, because especially with bookkeeping, there is a massive need. But being able to articulate your ideal customer. So again, what's the business that's going to make you happy? Do you like working with nonprofits? Do you like working with startups? Do you want to work with established companies? Do you want to work with revenues 100,000 and below, million and below, million and above? So there's so many different, so that's awesome that you have bookkeeping, but being able to, again, and kind of going back to Fred as well. Okay, awesome. We have a high level of what you do. Now, who is that? Who do you want to have money come from? Because you can get money from anyone, but I can tell you what, like if you don't love startups because you're like, man, this is really bumpy, and yeah, or you do love startups because you're like, I want to set up their books and I want to, starting from zero and grow with them, or whatever the thing is, just finding and being able to communicate like who your ideal customer is, I think will help you to be more effective in your marketing and to help you be able to have other people that know you and like you and trust you refer you because they know what you're looking for. So, again, being a real estate agent, I am also have been an investor for 20 years. So I love multifamily. So if anybody is, I don't personally, represent other people. I have my license for personal reasons, but, if people are interested in getting into investment real estate, I would love to talk to them, right? And so like that's my area of expertise. And I know different agents that when people ask me like, "Hey, I have this property coming up." Great, let me connect you with somebody that's where, they love working with first-time home buyers or whatever it is. And so the more that you're able to know yourself and know who you want to serve and can communicate that, the quicker that you can you get your business going and going in the way that you want it to go. And if you don't know, you can work with everyone. But make sure that you have the radar on is how is this going? Do I like this? Do I want more of this or do I want something else? And recognize that you're in control. This is your business. And although you work with a client now, you don't have to keep getting more of those if that's not the type of business that you want to work with. Do you want to work with high volume like restaurants or do you want something slower? And so there's a lot more, complexity once you kind of get down into the weeds on what it is to actually operate and who you're serving. And you don't have to have the answers, but paying attention to that and then knowing as you're building and building those projections, what does that actually kind of look like? So I don't know if that was too much information or not enough,
Well,
but
Lisa, I think you're really, if you don't take anything away, just one thing, in my opinion, from this conversation is Lisa has continued to say, know who your customer is, who's the ideal customer. And when we work with people on business plans, we can't stress that enough because not everybody is going to be your customer and not everybody's going to be your ideal customer. And then you talked to Lisa about testing that out, right? Well, I think I want to work with whatever group, then go to some of those people and say, are you interested in this service or product or whatever? So I really think that targeting who is going to be a good fit for you, both from a financial standpoint and also personal satisfaction, as you've talked about it, Lisa, is really important.
yeah. And there's, I mean, you could do a whole class on customer discovery. When I taught at the University of Maine, we spent several weeks on that topic, right? It's a lot to uncover. And again, and the wonderful thing is there's so many people out there. You can just go ask the questions, right? Like I love customer discovery. I love having ideas of businesses and then just picking up the phone like, hey, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. And I'm not telling you about my business idea. That's not the point of the call. The point is to understand, how are they viewing the world? Like, what are their pain points? And the best part is, what I found in doing this a long time is if I hear the same phrase a couple of times, you better believe that's going in my marketing. You better believe that I'm going to take the pain point that I keep hearing because I have the solution and put it out there and say, hey, you're struggling with this. I got you. Right? Like, what are the words that they're looking for in the arborist, in the bookkeeper? Is trustworthy high? Is you have insurance out there? Is that the key? What is it? Like sometimes, why am I drawing a blank? Oh my goodness, help me, Donna. What's the business plaques you can see? The Better Business Bureau, right? Like, is that an important thing to your customers? For some people, it is, right? Like Upstart, not really that important. But if you're, so again, recognizing what do your customers value? What do you need to do to prove trust to them, to prove that you are the person that they want to hire? So,
There's
I
not a
don't
lot.
know of marketing grants, to be honest with you. That's a super hard one.
It really is. The one organization that does some of this is New Ventures Maine. They run a contest once or twice a year. It's fairly small in terms of the money for marketing, but I would check with New Ventures Maine because they have some grants. And the state, I'm not sure right now whether they're still doing it, but if you go to the Maine Department of Business and Economics, DECD, Department of Economics and Community Development, they had gotten some grants for a while that were specific, and these were marketing out of state. And so if you have a primarily Maine business and you want to grow either out of state or internationally, they had some funding. And internationally, the Maine International Trade Center has some funding as well. So, but there's not a whole lot of, I don't want you to get your hopes up. There's not a whole lot of money there.
I just put in the chat the big gig. So again, they are looking for entrepreneurs to pitch. And so if you won $500, you'd have $500 in free money that you could use for that. And then I also put the Blitz program in there as well. The conference that we have coming up. So yeah, you got to be scrappy almost, try to leverage as many free resources as possible and again, just really trusting the word of mouth and really knowing, again, if you're going to spend the money, that you are increasing your odds of success and reducing your risk by really spending the time to get the language correct. Because at the end of the day, you've got to have a message that resonates. You could have the best product, but do customers want to hear testimonials? Is that important to them, or is it not? And really, it's about value. It's about who's got the lowest price and can be there the fastest, right? So being able to answer those questions again can help you in figuring out the marketing message and then, the avenue. But if
Well,
you
this
don't
has been a
have,
great discussion. I'm a little conscious of time right now because we say that we're going to 1 o'clock. This is probably one of the more engaged audiences that we've had. So I really want to thank the people who attended and specifically Lisa for sharing your experience and lots of networking. So UpStart Maine is certainly a resource. SCORE is a resource. The Bangor Public Library is. And Hannah, help me with next month's speaker.
Great
I'm
question.
blanking.
I have to check the calendar to remind my own
Okay,
self about that.
we're in the
So
middle of booking a lot of people, so I'm kind of like
it's
forgetting.
November 12th, and it's all about networking. So next month will be How Do You Network with Ashley Briggs Davis.
Right. Okay. Well, Lisa, thank you so much. And again, thanks all of you for joining us and super good questions. And I really want to wish everybody success wherever you want to go. I hope that you're successful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all for coming.
Bye.